Hey guys, welcome back to more Entitled People Karen's Stories. In this video, an entitled Instagram influencer thought having 500,000 followers makes you untouchable and immune from having to follow rules at Yellowstone National Park in the United States. This dumb tourist stepped over the line literally to get the perfect bison selfie, but she ended up deeply regretting it. So I do wildlife tours for a living. It's my full-time job, not a side hustle or something. I take people around Yellowstone National Park, giving them the history, talk about geothermal stuff without putting them to sleep, and try to keep the bison and bears from turning them into headlines. And in general, work to make sure that folks leave a little smarter than they came. My boss jokes that I'm equal parts teacher, bus driver, bouncer, and babysitter, and he's not wrong. So we do a lot of standard group trips, but sometimes people book private tours, sometimes it is birthdays, sometimes it is photographers, and sometimes it's a bucket list thing for a quiet retired couple. Most of the time private tours are chill. Every so often the universe decides I need to earn every penny by sending me a Karen. When the private tour request came through, the notes looked harmless at first. VIP pickup, early morning start, focus on wildlife and scenic overlooks, special interest in bison and geysers, and some filming intended. The add-on requests were fine too: vegan snacks, extra blankets, phone chargers. I've seen pickier. Then I saw the name. I recognized it from a previous email thread my boss forwarded a while back, where someone tried to haggle the price down by saying exposure from an influencer would be priceless. If you work in tourism, exposure is a code word for "we want it free." My boss told them no back then, and I guess they came back now with an actual booking, paid in full, decent tip pre-authorized, everything apparently legit. I'm not impressed by follower counts. I get that it's a job like anything else, and some influencers are actually professional and kind, but the ones who treat the park like a prop, those are the ones who get people hurt. And when people get hurt out here, there's no restart button. It's an ambulance or a helicopter and sometimes a body bag, so I treat those types like I treat a smoking thermal pool, pretty from a distance, dangerous if you're dumb. Because of a handful of incidents last season where guests insisted they never got told or accused a guide of ruining their experience, our company started requiring guides to wear body cams, not streaming, not for content, just for documentation. If someone starts making choices that could get them fined or hurt, we state the rules, state it again, and keep rolling. Judges and rangers like videos, I like keeping my job, and everybody wins. The morning off, I rolled up to their lodge with a coffee in the thermos, fresh SD cards, and my best "I'm ready for whatever flavor of chaos today will be" face. I found the daughter first. You could spot the Instagram influencer vibe from a mile away. Matching set, fresh blowout, the kind of nails that don't belong within 10 yards of bear spray, and a tiny crossbody purse that probably cost half my rent. She was practicing a candid laugh into her phone camera outside while fake stretching, which I will never understand, but also not my business. Then came the mom. She walked out like the hotel was her runway and the valet was her personal doorman. She looked me up and down like I was the first draft of a person. "You're the driver," she said in a tone that immediately told me I needed to clip the body cam to my jacket right then. "I'm your guide," I said as cheerfully as I could manage. "Good morning." She breezed by me, tapped the side of the van with her fingernail like she was checking a melon, and went, "At least the vehicle is decent." The daughter did a little hand-wavy wave, introduced herself by her Instagram handle/name. She said she was here for a 21st birthday content trip, that her followers love wildlife, and that she needed candid close-ups of bison to round out her Western vibe. I said great. I was excited to show them the park, and I did the whole opening spiel. Safety distances, no feeding, no calling animals over like you're summoning a golden retriever, the deal with thermal features, and what happens to skin when you fall through a crust into a boiling mud. I keep it light but real. I mean, it's not a cartoon, it's a giant active volcanic area filled with wild animals. I referenced the signs, the fines, the rangers, and how none of us want to be on the news. Mom rolled her eyes. "We're not idiots," she said. "We've been on safaris." Safari, huh? People say that a lot. If it didn't end with someone standing up in a moving vehicle to get a picture of a lion's tongue, I will eat my head. We had a good first hour, elk at a distance, sunrise hitting the ridges, the daughter got some pretty shots of steam in the cold air that I'll admit looked nice even to my cynic eyes. I pointed out a sage grouse, they pretended to care, and then asked if we could skip the geology lecture and get to the big animals. Herds move, so I couched expectations, but I knew of a couple pullouts where bison tend to graze in the morning. I kept one eye on the road, one on the rearview mirror, and one on the body cam red light. Yes, that is 3 eyes, guide math. On the way, Mom started dropping hints that the daughter's time was valuable and that we should focus on deliverables. She said it like I was a PA on a set, not a licensed guide in a national park. She asked if there were secret spots for closer bison. I said there are no secret spots and the distances are not negotiable. She then asked if we could pace alongside them for a moving shot. I said no, we don't harass wildlife, and explained that bison can outrun a horse over short bursts. She laughed in that way that says she thinks you're being dramatic. The daughter asked if the rangers were chill. I said the rangers are professionals who take safety seriously. She made a face, then made sure her phone was recording before she faux whispered to her followers, "We're being so safe, guys, don't worry, we are with a pro," while winking into the lens. I kept both hands on the wheel and thought about my paycheck. We hit pay dirt around an open meadow where a small group of bison were grazing, maybe 100 yards off. You could see breath steaming from their noses. There was one massive bull a little apart from the rest, head down, shredding the grass with those shovel shoulders, thick winter coat shedding in clumps. He was a unit. I've seen cars crumple easier than those heads do on impact. I pulled into the designated spot, did my safety talk again about staying by the vehicle, keeping the recommended distance, and not approaching. The daughter filmed from the road, got some gorgeous footage, and I thought, okay, maybe this won't be a circus. Then the bull lifted his head, stared right towards us, and huffed. It was not a full display, just that, "I see you, look." Mom leaned forward and said, "This is our moment. Honey, get your selfie." "Nope, nope," I said. "We stay by the vehicle. If you want a selfie with a bison in it, you can angle it from here with the telephoto lens. I will even line it up for you." Mom gave me a smile that didn't reach any part of her face. "We paid for a VIP experience." "You are getting one," I said. "A safe one." She gave a little head tilt, which in my line of work is the early warning sign before something dumb happens. "What if," she said, "we just go to that little patch there and stand like in the field just for a second? It's literally 10 seconds. "Not happening," I said. Daughter pouted. "I need a scale shot," she said. "They cannot tell how big it is without me in the frame." I repeated the rule. I said we document the warnings, and I tapped the body cam. "For your safety and ours and per park rules, we are not approaching the wildlife." Mom laughed, not friendly. "This is customer service, sweetheart. Don't you want a good review? We have 500,000 followers. You know the damage a bad story can do to a small company?" There it was, the Yelp thread, the follower count, the good old, "Do you know who I am?" I've heard it from wedding parties, tech bros, cruise spillovers. It always lands the same way. I smiled. "Well, I want you to have a safe and memorable experience," I said. "We will get you amazing footage with a zoom from the road." She turned to the daughter. "No, this is ridiculous. We have done safaris before. The guide sits there and we do what we want. This is America. We paid. Get out." I put the van in park, hands up, neutral posture, and voice steady. "Please do not exit the vehicle. This is a safety instruction. If you choose to ignore me, I'm required to document it and contact the rangers. There are fines for approaching wildlife." "Fines?" she scoffed. "Please, we donate to conservation. We basically fund this place." I hit the record confirmation on the cam and repeated myself clearly and calmly. It is the script. "So this is your third documented warning. Do not approach the bison. The minimum recommended distance is enforced. You risk injury or death." The daughter hesitated, to her credit. "Mom," she said, "he sounds serious." Mom opened the sliding door. "He's bluffing." "Ma'am," I said, and I heard my voice flatten into that tone I say for the absolute worst decisions possible. "I cannot physically restrain you. If you exit this vehicle, you are responsible for your own actions. I will call this in though." She swung her legs out anyway. She wore expensive leggings and those white sneakers that usually never see dirt. Daughter followed, clutching her phone, that little designer purse cross-body like a sash. The bull watched them, and I watched the bull. I grabbed the radio, gave our location and situation, and hit the hazard lights. I repeated my warning again for the camera because at this point we are fully in CYA territory. It is not a bluff when you say a bison can kill you. It's not dramatic to say they weigh a ton and can sprint. It is, however, astonishing how many people think the rules are optional just because they are on vacation. They stepped into the field, not far but beyond the boundary line, and well past stupid. They did that hesitant walk that looks like confidence from a distance and reads like, "I hope this works," up close. Daughter held her phone out, trying to frame the selfie with the bull in the background. Mom stage whispered something about "chin up, shoulders back." I was already dialing the ranger line and recording the sky, the field, their spacing, and every piece of context. 2 individuals approaching a bull bison, ignoring guide warnings. I said, "Events in progress." The bull's head came up again, the distance shrank faster than my patience. Mom gave me a look over her shoulder and made a motion like, "Don't you dare ruin this." Then she did the universal internet influencer thing where you turn away from the camera and pretend you're laughing naturally. The daughter lifted her phone, tilted her head, and did the duck-sparrow hybrid face they all do. The bull didn't appreciate being cast as a background extra. He huffed, pawed, and charged. If you've never heard a bison launch, it's an ugly, thunderous sound. It is dirt and breath and a thump that goes straight down your spine. I've watched them run maybe 1,000 times. It never stops being terrifying, and it also never stops being fast. It's a diesel truck appearing out of nowhere. I yelled to get back to the vehicle. Daughter yelped and pivoted, phone flying out of her hand. Mom grabbed her arm and then lost her shoe and then lost her composure. The bull hit that weird lope where it's both heavy and airborne. They backpedal like cartoon characters sprinting on a banana peel, and the daughter's tiny purse swung out in front of her and popped loose from the strap. It was like watching a slow-motion commercial for consequences. The purse landed in the dirt, the bull clipped it between hoof and horn and absolutely annihilated it. Designer leather disintegrated, the phone hit a rock, did that sick spiderweb pattern across the screen. And by the way guys, let me know in the comments, do you think these entitled influencer Karens deserve this, or do you have sympathy for them? Let me know in the comments, and while you're at it, please don't forget to like the video and post some star emojis if you enjoy these Karen stories. And now let's continue with the story. Mom shrieked, daughter screamed. I kept my voice monotone and told them to get behind the vehicle. The bull stomped once more, snorted, and then turned like nothing had happened and went back to his original angle. Because they don't actually want you most of the time, they want you away from them. Message received. Mom scrambled back in with grass stuck to her knees and the back of her leggings shredded across the calf. Daughter climbed in, shaking, eyes huge, half sobbing and half angry. I just stayed calm like I was trained to be, handed over water, told them to sit down and breathe, and radioed that the situation was stable. I'd gotten enough on camera to show the warnings and the approach and the charge, not for TikTok or something, not for a highlight reel, for the line in my job description that says, "Document for safety and compliance." I'm not a cop, I'm not a ranger, but I'm not gonna let someone tell a story later that we encouraged anything. Mom started yelling. Not the, "Oh my god, that was scary," which would have been normal, not "I'm so embarrassed." She went straight to, "You ruined our day, you are responsible, why didn't you help, why are you standing there, you should have stopped him." "I did," I said. "I gave you multiple warnings and called for assistance." "You could have distracted it," she said. "With what?" I said. "Interpretive dance?" She launched into a rant about paying for a VIP experience and, "This is why people don't come back to these parks," and "This is unacceptable customer service." She said words like litigation and refund and PR nightmare. She said we are generous with good service, we are ruthless with bad service, like she was reading off a pillow from a business coach. However, I kept it professional. I told them we were heading to a ranger station to file a report. I told them to check themselves for injuries and sit still. I handed over the first aid kit and offered bandages for the scratches. Daughter kept saying, my phone," and then tried to blame me for making them move. I just reiterated the rules again until it stopped sounding like I was a character in a bad parody. On the way to the station, Mom called someone on speaker and started reciting a version of events that sounded like she was telling a bedtime story to a toddler about a mean guide who abandoned them to a wild beast. But I just let her talk. I also let the body cam record. Every time she tried to draw me in with, "Admit it, you didn't warn us," I calmly said, "That is not accurate," and left it at that. We got to the station, I stepped aside and let the rangers do their job. They were polite, brisk, and very uninterested in the influencer routine. They took statements, checked the footage, asked Mom to repeat her claim about no warnings, and then quietly slid the audio clip across the table where I said warning number 1, 2, and 3. They informed her of the fine for approaching wildlife. It is not pocket change. She blustered, said she would appeal, and said she would have her lawyer handle this. They nodded like people who've heard that 20 times already and gave her the paperwork. Daughter put a sweater over her legs to hide the shredded leggings. Mom tried to argue that she didn't get close and was just getting a feel of the grass, like she thought they were talking to hotel management and not rangers who see camera roll receipts every day. We were in and out without a fight, which I took as a gift, and I offered to end the tour right then and there. But they said no. They still needed footage and the day's not ruined. Then Mom turned to me and said, "You will not speak about this to anyone. This is a private matter. If I see this anywhere, your company will regret it." "Well, I don't post client footage," I said truthfully. "We document for safety, that's all." We did the rest of the tour in a weird silence. The daughter tried to salvage some videos with her backup phone, filming from the van window this time, which was the first smart decision of the day. The mom changed between sullen and trying to butter me up with compliments about how nice the van smells. I kept it neutral and professional and thought about the cold beer I would earn that night. Back at the lodge, she stood on the curb and told me again that a bad review could crush a small business. She said that she expects our office to do the right thing and comp the whole day for trauma. I said I would pass along her feedback. She gave me a smile, as brittle as dried glue, and clicked away. I turned in the footage and the report like I always do, and I slept like a rock. The next morning, the email was waiting. It had 2 parts, one from my boss and one that CC'd me from mom. The mom's email was a greatest hits album basically. We failed to protect supposedly, and I encouraged dangerous behavior and then abandoned them, and that I was hostile and unprofessional. We refused to stop at secret spots, and I apparently threatened fines like I was empowered to punish them myself, and I refused to help them. She also layered on the influencer source that her daughter had a large and enthusiastic audience, their brand is generous with recommendations, and if we didn't comp the tour and apologize publicly, she would share the experience with her audience and reach out to media contacts. She also threw in a line about, "If this is how you treat the help, imagine how you treat the wildlife," which would have been funny if it wasn't so backwards, but my boss had a different tone. It was 2 sentences, one of which was, "You're free to come by the office before your shift." The subject line was the digital version of a raised eyebrow. He told me he had already sent the bodycam footage to the ranger office to attach to their case file. He told me not to worry and that I did exactly what I was supposed to do and that he was proud of how I handled it. Then he said something that made me laugh in a way that probably wasn't healthy. She posted a story. Of course she did. It was the most watered down look at me being victimized thing you've ever seen. She framed it like we were inflexible, like we ruined her birthday, and like we refused to accommodate a so-called simple request. She didn't post a charge. She didn't post the warnings we gave. She did a lot of crying with perfect mascara. She mentioned our company name without saying it, but enough clues that people could figure it out. She said, "I don't want to destroy a small business," while basically laying kindling around our reputation and lighting a match with slow tears. I watched my boss watch the video. He was upset, but he didn't look worried. He's been doing this a long time. He said, "We will let the Rangers handle their part." Then he tapped the bodycam footage and said, "As for us, mask the faces, blur the voices, keep the location markers and keep the warnings. Do what we do with these when people learn nothing." And yeah, we don't post client footage as a policy, but we do get permission from the companies to submit anonymized safety examples to training sessions and sometimes to public channels that showcase why rules exist. There's a difference between shaming a person and educating a public that thinks cuddling a bison is a cute idea. We've shared clips with local news before, and with those educational pages where they blur faces, block out identifying details, and let the consequences speak for themselves. This is not about vengeance, it's about a chorus of guides and rangers yelling into the abyss, hoping a few more people hear it. We edited the clip. It was not a cinematic masterpiece, it was just a timestamp of the warning, the cut to them stepping past the line, the charge, the scramble back, and the shot of the crushed purse and the shattered phone on the ground. The audio had the warnings and the "I'm reporting you to Yelp" line. It had me saying, "I cannot stop you if you exit the vehicle," and that I'm required to document this. It had her say, "Do you know who my daughter is?" right before the purse bit the dust. We made sure there was no identifying info beyond the voices, blurred faces, distorted audio, license plate hidden, no logo, just behavior and consequences. We sent it to one of those subreddits that exist to scare people straight with real stupidity, and it was approved in minutes. I went back to work, took a group of retired teachers who listened and asked cool questions and made me feel like I was actually decent at this, and forgot about the post until lunch. But then the daughter's followers started commenting under her posts, not the usual hard eye brigade. They were calling out the behavior, saying things like, "This is not safe. You're setting a bad example. Why are you risking the animal for clout?" and unfollowed. Her follower account was visible for a while. I watched it tick down like a stock chart after bad earnings. It was not catastrophic in one blow, but you could tell it was a real hit. Brands don't like controversy. Brands like safe, aspirational and cute. Almost getting run over by a 1-ton tank and screaming at a guide? Not cute. Mom sent another email that afternoon. She threatened again to sue us, and she said releasing footage was defamation and invasion of privacy. Boss responded with, "The footage is anonymized and submitted for educational purposes. It's also attached to the ranger's official incident report. We've complied with policy and law." He kept it short. He didn't get into a back and forth with her. He CC'd our lawyer, who is 7 feet tall in my mind, even though I've never met them. The rangers sent their citation. That's not our business after we hand over the footage, but it's part of the ecosystem of cause and effect. The dollar amount made me wince in a satisfying way. The company comped nothing. Mom fired off a 1-star review where she called me the help in the first sentence, which aged about as well as milk once the bodycam audio existed. We responded with the blandest thing ever. "We prioritize safety and adherence to park regulations. We regret you didn't enjoy your experience." In the days that followed, the post refused to die. People duetted it with PSAs about not approaching wildlife. A former park employee wrote the world's nicest comment about guides having to be calm while being screamed at by people who think rules don't apply to them. It wasn't just schadenfreude, it was actually useful. That's the thing that made me happiest. Yes, the internet can be a trash fire, but sometimes it's a controlled burn that clears out the underbrush of ignorance. And the next one is a beautiful petty revenge story that you don't want to miss. It is titled, "How I Stopped Someone from Giving My Number Out." Yep, one of those stories. This one is kind of short. I've had my current phone number for about 2 years, and for a while I would often get phone calls and messages from all sorts of people asking for a Tom. Despite all my efforts to tell Tom and his contacts that they have the wrong number, they would not listen to me. Eventually, Tom started giving out my number to real estate agents and other businesses to annoy me. At this point, I got sick of this BS, so the next time someone called me asking for a Tom, I would message them back and tell them, "Hey, it's Tom. Sorry, I cannot answer your call. I'm getting some intimate action at a furry convention right now." It took me sending this message twice for me to get several missed phone calls from who I presume is Tom, quite upset at me. And then I never got anyone calling me looking for Tom again. And the next one is another beautiful petty revenge story, which is titled, "My coworker had the pettiest of revenges with our tantrum-throwing boss." So our boss was a petty tyrant. He would do things that put us in difficult situations and then yell at us while blaming us for the hassle. Best of all, he was an impatient man-child. My coworker, Tom, was stuck in the office more than I was, poor guy. Tom's petty revenge was driving our boss more insane, yet our boss had no idea he was doing it. Our boss had the nice big office up front, the printers were in the back, Tom and I sat in the cube farm between them. The boss would print out something and then quickly and impatiently sprint to pick up what he printed. He was hyper-focused on getting that printout. Most times, the laser printer spun up and our boss moved from his office. Tom would get up from his cube and get in his way. He would walk slowly to the printer, so he would be carefully carrying a coffee cup that was filled to the top or waddling awkwardly towards the bathroom. Sometimes he would do that side, "Which way are you gonna go?" hopping as they tried to dodge each other, but Tom never got it right and they ended up running into each other. I watched this happen whenever I was in the office. Tom was doing this multiple times per day. Our boss had no idea, but his blood pressure went up every time he went to retrieve a printout. Thank you, Tom. Against all odds, you made that place a tiny bit more tolerable. And yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching. I will see you again tomorrow.